Hello, welcome to your Gemini new super moon reading. This is a super moon on the 13th. So you want to make those new moon wishes between the 13th, very latest on the 15th. Some of us like to get that lunar energy, that very first darkness of the night soil, that healthy soil going before we make our new moon wishes. And so that's about a day into the new moon that you're going to make those intentions known to the cosmos. Now, your collective consciousness is in the sign of Taurus Gemini right now, and the collective consciousness is the sun sign, that great father energy, that active yang energy. Taurus in the Vedic is in the nakshatra of Rohini, and the Taurus sun in the Vedic is in Nikshira. Now, the sun in the Western, the egocentric, the earth-centric astrology is talking about our emotions, and this is a very emotional moon. Super moons are when the moon is closest to the earth. We can see super full moons because the light is so bright at night, and it's this huge moon on the horizon, extremely powerful in terms of expending, purifying, releasing emotion. The new moon is not seen, but it's a dark carpet of velvety power that goes into the very galactic center in terms of a very similar energy to the void at night, which we can't see. It's a very powerful darkness that pulls, that receptive. And so you're going to be getting a lot of intuitive downloads. If you haven't felt the power of this before, I encourage you to really pay attention to your inner space, that sea beneath the surface of the sea that we talk about here on Great Mother Speaks. She's that still small voice of the Holy Spirit that speaks to us with kindness, love, directness, but nurturing and understanding. This channel is designed for people going through the dark night of the soul, and specifically for individuals who are healing from, seriously and sincerely, mama drama trauma, a condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and or physical trauma. In cases where she's unable, unavailable, or unwilling to heal, loving detachment is required. Now, you in the recent past have come from a situation where you were being prostituted. And so prostitution begins with ourselves, and usually it is a taught behavior, conditioned behavior, in which we are taught how to exchange ourselves for our physical needs. And so that's what prostitution is. That's why it's the oldest profession in the world. We all must exchange something, give something of ourselves in order to ensure our physical survival. And so recently you've come to some awareness about how you have done that, and you've either changed it in some way, or you are reflecting on it at this particular time. When this card comes up, it is a full moon card. So maybe since the full moon, the 29th was the full moon in Sagittarius, maybe since about 2 weeks ago, you have come to the realization that how you've been exchanging your gifts, talents, and abilities, maybe even your heart, maybe even your soul, has been in a way that is not benefiting you. You're selling out, and you've been reflecting on that. That's what came up for you for purification during the Sagittarius full moon. For some of you, you are realizing that you are standing strong, you are holding your ground, you are really standing behind what you believe, standing up for yourself, you're esteeming yourself, and standing for your highest value, and are honoring those desires in your relationships, in your jobs, in the work that you do in exchange for your survival. That is in the recent past. Now, this new moon is fifth house energy for you, looking at the collective unconscious with the moon in Taurus Gemini. Taurus in the soul sidereal astrology, which is a universal omniscient astrology, and it is where most of you will have your Vedic moon sign. Some of you will be Aquarius in your sidereal sign as well. So for you, this is fifth house energy in your collective unconsciousness in the general reading. So you'll be talking about things in this Gemini energy that deal with modifying your mama fantasy. And so The mama fantasy of MDT is wanting our mothers to be something or be someone she is not. So, in order to heal MDT, we have to accept the mother we have in order to let the one we want go. Okay, and so you could say we have to let the mother that we want, the fantasy mother, she does this, she does that, she cares about me, she always knows this, she always does that, that one, letting that one go in order to accept the one that we have. This might be related to the prostitute card we'll see. The present condition is also a full realization condition of a need to shine your light. So there's a need right now that you have to shine your light. This is related to the prostitute card and honoring your highest self. And your highest self from a Capricornian perspective is one that is very ordered, is very practical, but it also is wanting to make sense of its soul journey. And so it doesn't make sense to the soul to continue on this unconscious path of making the mama drama trauma all about you. If you're prostituting yourself, that's what you're doing. It's all my fault. I should understand. This really isn't happening. If I say something, I'll break up the family. Oh, no one's going to believe me anyway. I need this. I need my family. I can't entertain letting this go. I need my mother. I can't entertain. That kind of prostitution. Right now, the reason that you're not able to shine your light, dear one, is because you're prostituting yourself. You're giving away your soul self in a way that isn't serving you. And so the light that is wanting to come through cannot. The surface of the sea is not all that is there. The waves are brought about from the deep ebbs and flow and the currents beneath. And this is the internal space that Great Mother is speaking to and through your cosmic calculus of Capricorn, Aquarius, to bring this message to you. She's speaking through this. She's speaking through this to you about why, on a deep level, you may not feel that you're shining your light. Those of you who are giving of yourself, again, really standing your ground and sticking to your values, your desires, your wants. And you're making that journey to take the risk to say, hey, on the surface, it may look like by me expressing myself, I'm breaking up my family. In actuality, I'm empowering them to heal. And let's all get healed. On the surface, it may look like I have a credibility problem. No one's going to believe me if I start asserting what my true beliefs are and bring from the unspoken realm into the spoken realm what needs to be said with love and understanding, with the hopes of healing, so that I don't have to be codependent anymore and I can shine my light, my soul light. I'm willing to do that. Some of you, that's what this is about. Okay, some of you, that's exactly what that is about, that full moon energy bursting through for you. In the shadow for both of you, however, is the Dagda. And the Dagda is confirming that double yin energy of this super new moon, which is pulling from the very depths of the emotional scales, scaling those depths, rather, that you are able to go into your emotional state deeply enough to hear your intuition. In other words, telling yourself the truth about how you are sharing your gifts, talents, and abilities with the world and with your family. Are you really sharing the gift of your insight, the gift of your wisdom, and the gift of the order that your soul has, and there needing to be order brought into this world of fantasy that everyone is operating in. You know, we all operate under lies and shrouded truths in MDT in order to sustain it. That's the codependency. And we justify our abandonment and abuse in order to sustain the brokenness of our environment. And so in the shadow, Great Mother is saying that you are doing the emotional work. You are doing the emotional work. Good for you. Good for you. This fifth house energy presently is bringing up for you, as a result of doing this work, some real knock on the head awarenesses about the abandonment and the abuse. There's some real chickens coming home to roost. There's some real, this isn't theoretical, it's not philosophical. You are actually in this process feeling ungrounded. There may be some feelings of insecurity as a result of recognizing and really clearly seeing for the first time the nature of the abandonment and the abuse. Now, remember, it does not start with you. It didn't start with your mother. It didn't start with your grandmother. It started with a seed of a thought of lack, a seed of a thought of self-loathing that grew into a way of raising the child. You know, it can be as simple as spare the rod, spoil the child. You know, it could be a thought form as simple as that, which has governed most of Christendom for millennia. This idea that child rearing has to be about corporal punishment instead of really listening to what the child needs to feel grounded and secure in the world, and just being with that instead of judging it. So you are presently feeling, if not judged and condemned, ignored, abandoned, kind of left alone with what you need to feel loved. Now, this may not be directly from your mother. Our birth mother situation is what teaches us how to do relationship, and therefore it may be in a current spousal relationship. It may be in a work-life relationship. It could be in any type of relationship that is on a daily basis that is causing you to feel that the connection you have is not giving you the attention that you need. The present expectation is that you need to acknowledge this abandonment and abuse, and that it is not about them. Again, it's about a thought form that you have integrated into your consciousness. Spoil the rod. I'm going to spoil the child. Spare the rod. As an example. And all the relationships in your life are abusive, for example. And just sitting with that and realizing that it is reverberating in some way and repeating itself in your patterns of relationships in your life. Some of you are in the stage of this acknowledgement card where you are actually releasing yourself from these situations because of this newfound sense of standing up for yourself. You're dancing with awakening. You're dancing with seeing beyond the illusion into the truth that empowers you. And so it's kind of a dance. It's kind of close the curtain, open the curtain. Okay, let me close the curtain. Let me open it. And you are stepping across a new threshold of living at this time. And Great Mother is asking you on a deeply intuitive level where that Capricorn energy is, where this Rohini moon energy that is very fertile, magnetic, and passionate, very beautiful, is pulling in this explorative and courageous energy of How am I using my power? Now that I'm conscious that I have the power to share myself, my gifts, my talents and abilities, my thoughts in a way that honors me as opposed to working against me because I'm upholding a fantasy of love as opposed to releasing the reality that I'm not receiving the love. Now that I'm there, who am I? And on an intuitive level, this question is being presented to you in a way that, again, is going to allow you to modify this fantasy and create what it is that you want. Start your journey based on how you are feeling on a gut level, what you are viscerally feeling needs to happen in your life at this time. Do you need to reground yourself in your home and maybe spend more time with your family, more creative endeavors in your own life? You have creative things that you want to do with your life. That communication that perhaps needs to happen as a result of the downloads that you're receiving. This awakening is what you're dancing with, and you're being really influenced by this idea that you are alone and you don't understand why. It's unfair. You feel insecure as a result of it. But it's an influence Great Mother wants to bring to your attention because you're embarking on a journey that's going to take you to a new level of security. It's going to ground you more deeply in a soul safety that you have not been consciously aware of. And so hold on. Hold on to your pants. Hold on to your creative expression. Hold on to all of those things that you have in your conscious possession at this time that you may have been prostituting in ways that don't serve you, or that you are now beginning to prostitute in ways that do serve you. Hold on to those things because they're going to be exactly what you need for your journey. Hold on to those things. Because what you're expecting is to leave a bad situation, whether you are going to actively assert your need to live in loving detachment from your mother at this time to diffuse the emotional triggers in your life. In other words, heal from the drama and the trauma. Or you're going to detach from another relationship that you have cultivated in your life as a result of this unconscious MDT. Whatever it is that you're going to do, maybe you're just going to take more time that you need to spend in nature. For some of you, because this is the center card of your spread, that is exactly what it means. Great Mother is saying that you actually physically need to spend more time in nature to physically feel the support of Great Mother through your skin and breathing through your lungs and your mind and your head and your feet, walking barefoot, even just in the backyard, just walking there and pulling up, the ions from the soil, just breathing consciously through your feet, just for 5 minutes is so energizing. So this is what you're fully expecting to come to you. You are needing a break. You are needing to make a turn as a result of this feeling of neglect. In order to do that, Great Mother saying, just accept your feelings. You're moving from all of these unconscious things, spare the rod, spoil the child, I'm not worthy to be loved. All of those patterns of thought that have created the MDT in your family cycle. You're in a process of releasing those, or some of you just becoming conscious of those things and accepting how you feel. It's important that we accept how we feel because we will not experience unconditional love unless and until we do. There's a wide spectrum of emotion, infinite spectrum of emotions for a reason. Great Mother is the fastest moving celestial body, planet. I call it celestial body. With the Vedic astrology, we talk about the nakshatras and, the lunar elements and the celestial mansions and all of that. And it's a body that moves very fast. The body of energy, that's the fastest one. Every 2.5 days, it moves through a sign. And so you're not doing nothing except in how you feel. You know, I mean, we make it a big deal on this side of the veil because it is so ordered. Everything is so pigeonholed in the physical realm, and it's meant to be so that we can have a physical experience in this very dense dimension. Everything has to be spelled out. But for you, Capricorn Aquarius Moon people, it's important at this time that you finesse your understanding of things with a little bit more creativity in order for you to finesse your healing of this process so it doesn't have to be more difficult than it is. It's very important for you right now to use the energies of this new moon in order to do that, because accepting your feelings is really about getting closer to what it is that you specifically want and need in your life at this time. Because all of this is coming up, it might be feeling a little overwhelming, but at the same time, you are realizing you're embarking on a new journey. Great Mother's encouraging understanding that this journey is bringing to you a greater sense of groundedness in yourself and in the world. But this is a two-way street. We have free will. So what is it that you are desiring? Not based on what the world or your mother or your family or your friends or whatever conditioning in this realm has told you, but beneath your own surface, what's percolating up. That's accepting your feelings. And by the full moon in Capricorn, you will have more clarity about that. Now on the sidereal, it will be in Sagittarius. Okay, that will be 12th house energy for you, which is closing out an emotional cycle. Now, wow. Okay, Aquarius moon sign people. Let's see the advice that Great Mother has for you. She's saying that self-compassion is called for at this time. Be compassionate with yourself. You're doing a fine job. In your immediate future, you're going to be acting on these intuitive downloads, and she wants you to enjoy doing so. Enjoying doing so, however, is going to be based on how much junk, how much conditioning that no longer serves you, how much service you're giving to others and the world that doesn't allow your self-expression, how much you have genuinely and authentically accepted your feelings. These full moon cards are pointing to what is going to help you most in terms of acting on fulfilling your new wants and your desires, according to you knowing that you are a dearly loved child of the great Mother, Father, God, who's never condemned, judged, or left alone. What is it that you are releasing in your life at this time during this lunar cycle that's going to allow you to fully act on these downloads that you're receiving at this time of this powerful super new moon? That is what this card is about in your immediate future, is enjoying the process of moving forward, turning that corner, spending time in nature, doing your loving detachment work, which is all about establishing new boundaries. But it also is about you being able to first be clear about what your wants and your desires are. You have to know that first. And so that comes from you. That comes from you. No one can give you that. You're not going to read that in a book. You're not going to get that from a reading. You're going to get that from you. And that's what Great Mother is going to just be guiding you toward your deeper inner self, deeper and deeper. And just watch out for the full moon reading again coming up, especially the next two. The next one is the 12th house, and then the Aquarius full moon, of course, in August will be your first house, the beginning of your lunar new year, and you will have a lunar new year reading. You need to embody your truth. In other words, she's making this extremely clear for you. Telling yourself the truth. Again, many of you are already doing this. And so this reading is just a confirmation for many of you who have already entered into this lunar cycle with your inner truth and standing and sticking by it. For those of you who are just getting this as clarity, remember, Great Mother provides clarity, balance, and confirmation. She's giving you clarity about how to take advantage of the eternal grace and mercy that's available to you to assert your heart's truest desires, which is to love yourself. That's the lesson of MDT. The evolutionary soul lesson of MDT is self-love and spiritual independence. A possible outcome of all of this work is victimhood. And indeed, every cycle in this healing process goes deeper and deeper and deeper into our own feelings of victimhood. Remember, this is in our DNA. And on a soul level, it's a contract that we've made to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. Our soul is learning how to love itself. And so we go into some very deep spaces and in even past lives healing how we have not loved ourselves. And so a possible outcome of this particular lunar cycle, or at least leading up into the full moon over the next 2 weeks, may be a very deep feeling of needing to offload what you're carrying. This is a burden. You may feel the need to enlist someone's support that may not be capable, they may not be willing, or just available to assist you, and that might cause some frustration, which will again turn you back to leaving the situation, needing to connect with Earth Mother energy, needing to ground yourself, needing to secure yourself, and understanding that even though the hidden influences of you feeling orphaned, ignored, not appreciated, but knowing that you need to assert your own self-compassion before others can appreciate you, this cycle of evolution may cause some feelings of victimhood. In the long term, this will bring up rage. Rage is suppressed anger. We want rage. We like rage in healing MDT because rage tells us exactly where the healing stone is that needs to be moved at this time in our healing journey. So look out for it, expect it, and fully expect it to be related to your maternal fantasy. Your fantasy may be death. Some people experiencing mama drama trauma are feeling it because of a transition of a mother, and very much on a deep level desire to join her. Some people may actually have a fantasy that their mother, when they come out of rehab this time, is going to come back, completely clean up the house, and be ready for a beautiful Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner that she'll prepare. Some, etc., 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 whatever the maternal fantasy may be, is going to come up If it's not directly related to your mother, it's also a maternal fantasy because it's related to MDT. If it has to do with the spouse, if it has to do with a boss, even if it has to do with a child that is connected to the seed thought. Now, the seed thought of unworthiness could be something like, you are not worthy of having the best in life. So always get the second best because you can't have the best. Who do you think you are? Okay. And the rage might come up about that thought, something around that thought. It's just one too many times. Your boss didn't give you what could be the highest raise for your position, and you've been at that job for 7 years doing more than anyone has ever done in that position. And you are always at that second wrong. You do all the work of the person in the position to make the money, but isn't that the way it always happens? And it's just the last time. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's been happening because we can see that with the prostitute card. It's been happening. But now that the acknowledgement is coming, the self-expression is coming. And see, this is why people don't want to heal or even acknowledge MDT. It's a courageous journey. It's not for the faint of heart. We like rage. Rage shows us where the healing stone is. And once you see that, you can say, okay, I'm prostituting myself in this job. And I didn't know it. But this work has brought up all these feelings of victimhood. It's brought up all of my real feelings. And Great Mother's encouraged me to accept it. And now I see. Now I see full moon light, what my true desire is. And it's not this. I don't desire to always have second best. Somebody else might have thought that was a good idea, but I don't. And they didn't think it was a good idea either. If they did, they wouldn't be so sick. She wouldn't be in rehab. My mother probably wouldn't even be dead. She probably died of something associated to that consistent sadness and rage. Okay? And so it brings us to a greater state of consciousness. The outcome is androgyne for you. This is very powerful, courageous work. And what you are creating with this fifth house energy, Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon people, is an entirely new state of integrating your primal yin-yang energies. This is a single yin, double yang card. You are receiving these downloads and acting on them. You have the other double yang card with so much courage and so much bravery that you've activated the law of destiny and free will. Bravo. You're clear. You're clear. By the end of this lunar cycle, at least by the third quarter moon, which is about release, you're releasing a lot. You'll be releasing a lot of rage. Some of you will express that rage by, when you get home and you go outside, stomping outside, barefoot in the grass, getting it out, Some of you may need to go into the shower and scream as loud as you can. Get it out of your body. Release it from your body. This is throat chakra in the center of third quarter. Okay? Get it out of your body. Release it. It's been there too long. And this is your moon to let it go. Some new moon intentions for you as it relates to what Great Mother is saying may have to do with activating that Gemini energy by acknowledging your wishes around how you are communicating your needs on a daily basis, wanting to do so in a more positive way. Okay? Maybe just wanting to calm some of that mental activity, having new moon wishes around using your communication skills with more logic and cleverness as a result of the revelations that have come to you. Activate them and articulate them. Use what Great Mother has spoken to you. Now remember that these are general, collective, unconscious insights that Great Mother is providing to your group of Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon sign people. Your actual moon sign, however, may be in second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth house, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, or 11th, 12th house energy positions that would greatly change some of what Great Mother has brought forth, which is what the personal readings are for. But stay tuned for the extra on the nodal axes, which is about the north and south node. You are the south node for the collective consciousness right now, Capricorn, Aquarius, Sign, Moon people. And so you have been for the last year releasing a great deal. We're going to be talking about that Aquarius release coming up with the total lunar eclipse at the end of July with the second part 2 on lunar totality. But this video will give you an insight into how in moon sign readings your personal north and south node are integrated and understood. Again, thanks so much for watching, and above all and most of all, that Great Mother loves you, and I do too. Okay, a word on the nodes is that they are typically viewed as too ethereal to be grounded in the world, too much of a conceptual aspect of the astrological chart to be really practical and practically interpreted as meaningful in your life now, which is why they are associated with the soul and kind of, okay, we can't really understand that. It's bigger than we are. We're not going to go there. And although that is true, the part that we can go to when we're looking at lunar aspects is that in the North Node or Rahu, we know that that is the evolutionary direction the soul is headed. We know that it is in large part the soul intention for its incarnation this particular lifetime. And knowing that, the sign it's in, the house it's in, and what aspects that house and those planets tell us the nature of the incarnation, what's important to it. Now, bringing that from the ethereal and the conceptual into a grounded interpretation requires us to understand the sentient nature of our physical senses: hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, waking, sleeping state, the state of health, the state of unhealth, etc. Those subtleties of life is what brings the nodal into the practical sphere. For example, all aspects of our nodes always oppose one another. And we know that if your Rahu is in your 4th house, your North Node, then the 10th house is where Ketu or your South Node is. Conceptually, we know that that soul is here to ground itself in the physical realm, specifically domestically, in its home, through property that it owns, to ground itself physically in the world. Now, regardless of the other aspects in the chart, because we're talking about the nodal axes, it's going to have a holographic effect on the entire chart as it relates to its incarnational purpose. Everything is ultimately pointing towards that in their own way based on other aspects of the chart. But if you could just imagine the yang symbol, the circle with that arrow to the right, finding its ultimate purpose in this earth realm, steering towards it, pointed towards it, and finally incarnating as the physical form of the cosmic calculus that makes up our entire chart, which is our internal wiring kind of laid out, splashed upon the stars and constellations that we can read and interpret, we will see that the North Node and the nodal axes in general give us a look into how to ease the internal stresses of that life incarnated purpose. So, regardless of what it is, there will always be stresses associated with it, issues of insecurity, self esteem, and how we are experiencing that incarnational purpose on an individual basis. So, with our example with the North Node in the fourth house dealing with domesticity and the mother, there will be challenges associated with the home and the mother. There will be stresses associated with that because that is the stuff that evolution is made of, that conflict, that yin and that yang purification process that occurs. So just looking at that, we can see that there will be opportunities throughout life to grow and evolve, which can be seen in the chart. To further ground that, we want to look at what your chart is telling you about your health, what your chart is telling you about your career, about your relationships, how you see the world, finances, and spirituality, because it's going to inform the strengths and the challenges associated with that. As we do that, returning back to the subtleties of our waking dreaming state, our clairs, clairvoyance, our clear seeing, our clear feeling and touching, clairsentience, clear audience, those extra sensory abilities. What happens is our unique strengths in those areas are constantly offering us information, tools, and guidance about how to confront, remedy, and transform those challenges and those stresses. So let's say, for example, with the North Node in the fourth house, one of the aspects is to have a sixth house everyday life situation where the sun is there. Or I'm not going to get too deeply into the example because there's so many variations, but let's just say that in your everyday life, you're very focused toward what you want to do. You're very clear about what you want to do, but maybe in your career, there's some conflict for one reason or another. That's going to create a challenge, perhaps, in creating the necessary revenue to get the home that you want to feel grounded. That is going to work for you to feel that domestic grounding. And so with the South Node, or Leo and K2, there's going to be a tremendous tendency to want to fall back on that default, which is what the South Node is, the soul default, the many lifetimes that the soul has had in that particular energy, which is all about accomplishment, success, in career, and that sort of thing. Wanting to fall back into that, even in light of this lifetime, that being a challenge, there being some corners cut, perhaps, or some illegalities, perhaps, as it relates to acquiring the home that you want, or dealing with maternal issues and that sort of thing. So that's how we can ground it a little bit further and look for opportunities with our dreams, with how we are managing our sleeping life, our circadian rhythms. Are they really supporting us in a way that we feel energized enough to fulfill what we need to fulfill, to acquire what we need to acquire to feel grounded? If we need to be a bit more creative than what the present lifestyle is in acquiring a home, do we need to perhaps be a little bit more intuitive with regard to what may be other opportunities to acquire those things? Maybe there are people that are wanting people to do some house sitting around your area, but you really haven't tuned into that. But there may be some intuitive guidance in that area where you could easily do that. The soul is always downloading intuitive information to us, and it is through our sentient voices, feelings, and unctions that we can connect to exactly what it is that we need to fulfill those things. And so that is what we look at in a moon reading as it relates to the nodes. We look at where those strengths could possibly be for you. Some people have more of an ability to hear. They may have clairaudience based on the fifth chakra prevalence of Mercury energy throughout their chart. That kind of thing is what we're looking at in a moon sign reading. That's the perspective that we are able to gain a clearer view into how to use your sensitivities, how to identify them and work with them to fulfill your practical needs that the soul has in this lifetime for you to feel the balance and the equilibrium that you need within yourself as you deal with this very challenging issue of mama drama trauma. For more information about Mama Drama Trauma, visit mamadramatrauma.info.